The average American spends nearly half their waking lives looking at screens, most often this, our smartphones. Now a new book is exploring the impact of this attention economy. Brooke Silva Braga is here with a sneak peek at the book. Brooke, good morning.
Good morning. Well, you might know Chris Hayes as a cable news host, but he's also written 2 influential bestsellers examining inequality in America. Next week, he's out with The Sirens Call, which makes the case that today, the world's most endangered resource is human attention, and that ruthless competition for our attention is changing how we live.
So this illustrates one of the fundamental things I talk about in the book.
Chris Hayes says something as simple as a Google search is an example of what he calls attention capitalism.
We make this conceptual mistake a lot when we think about the information age, that information is a valuable resource. Information is infinite. There's boundless information. The valuable resource is our attention. And the reason that Google was the most profitable enterprise of the entire internet was that it conserved our attention.
But Hayes says Google doesn't do that so well anymore.
I search for 3-row EV, 3-row electric vehicle.
Okay.
The search result for 3-row EV isn't just littered with ads.
1, 2, 3, 4.
They're mostly ads for vehicles
The ID4 is not 3-row.
that don't even match the search.
Toyota does not make a 3-row EV.
Why do you think they did that?
I think that basic business imperatives, which is that you have to increase revenue if you're a public company.
Today, most of the world's largest public companies, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, make their money in one way or another from our attention.
It's become, I think, one of the world's most valuable resources, one of the most sought after, one of the most competed for, and one of the most ruthlessly extracted.
And the idea that this can be monetized, you argue, makes it different than other things you might monetize, like a piece of land or a piece of coal. This is something that comes from within us.
Yes, I mean, in this sense, the resource that's being extracted, like rubber from a tree, is inside our own heads, is our conscious lives.
The title, The Sirens Call, is a reference to the sirens in the Greek epic The Odyssey.
No man who hears their song can escape.
You might remember from high school lit, their song is so dangerous and yet so tempting
I want to hear their song.
that Odysseus has himself tied to the ship's mast,
And don't untie me.
hoping to safely experience something he knows is bad for him.
You are back in Ithaca.
Ithaca.
And you think this is us now?
Absolutely. I think we are all Odysseus on the mast all the time.
If the Sirens Call describes people trapped by technology, Hayes writes about it as an inmate.
Part of this is enduring part of the human condition, but
In the 2 days we spent with him, just about every quiet moment was filled with the glow of a screen.
I mean, this is like watching me like shoot up or something.
To manage his addiction,
Like, what are people saying about me?
Hayes hides the comments from most of his nearly 3 million social media followers, so he can't see what they're saying.
Yes, because I'm tying myself to the mast.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that like desire of like, well, what are people saying about me is so, I mean, maybe it's just I'm broken as a person, but I think it's actually a pretty broad pathology.
This hypercharged battle for eyeballs isn't just lousy for individuals, possibly causing loneliness and depression, definitely changing how we spend our time, but also bad for society, Hayes says, since the easiest way to gain market share in this environment is with endless short bursts of the outrageous.
Trolling as the form of public discourse is now the dominant form of public discourse. 2 of the biggest trolls are Elon Musk and Donald Trump. They are very good at getting negative attention.
Richest man and most powerful man.
Richest man and most powerful man. They've sort of hacked something. They've kind of figured something out.
Though Hayes certainly doesn't consider himself a troll, he's also become rich and powerful through attention capitalism as an MSNBC host.
Hey guys.
And over the years came to peace with the idea that keeping his job and drawing viewers generally requires giving the people what they want.
What are you leading with tonight?
We're leading with this kind of tech oligarchy.
In its 13th year, All In with Chris Hayes is bookish,
5, 4.
but reliably partisan.
Good evening from New York, I'm Chris Hayes.
Stories likely to stoke fear or anger in his liberal viewers are easy to find.
And when it comes down to a scenario
where there is a competing interest between what's good for Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk and what's good for you, who do you think is going to win that fight?
I think when people are making the list of things that are kind of like getting their attention and they're not sure if they're happy about that or not, cable news is kind of on that list.
100%, yeah.
You wrote a whole book on the questionable impact of this phenomenon, and yet you're right in the middle of it. How do you reconcile this?
Yeah, I mean, I think in some ways, well, first of all, I wrote a book. And I think a book is a different technology than cable news.
No doubt, but the person to write that book, to literally be someone who's in this business, is interesting.
For me, I try really hard to do the best version of a cable news show I can. And part of what that means, to be totally honest, is wrestling every single day with every decision we make between following the lure of the incentives towards the lowest common denominator and resisting them in favor of doing something better.
So I started taking a walk every day.
While writing the book, Hayes started thinking about reclaiming his own attention. Instead of listening to podcasts on his daily walk, now he just strolls with his thoughts.
And has it had the effect you hoped?
Absolutely. Yeah.
He's rooting for alternatives to attention capitalism. Maybe group texting will replace social media. Maybe the non-commercial internet will make a comeback.
There we go.
But our need for distraction is unlikely to go away.
You know, Blaise Pascal is writing in the 1600s. He says, I've come to believe that all the troubles of man stem from his inability to sit alone in his own chamber.
I took the subway to meet you here, and the Q train makes that beautiful pass over the East River, where the Brooklyn Bridge is right there and the downtown Manhattan skyline. And the only people I found not on their phone were sleeping or eating.
So it's funny you say that. My daughter takes that train to commute every day, and she told me, and I love this, that she and her friends have a rule that you have to look at the view. The generation of people most native to this are in some ways more aware of it than anyone.
That makes you hopeful?
Oh, totally, yeah. Yeah, I think I genuinely think they are set for like a rebellion against it.
One of Chris's ideas is actually to have a hard cap on screen time.
We talked about
You have to fight a lot of people on that.
yeah.
I guess the first part is admitting you have a problem.
Right.
We start there.
And he's a recovering addict, I guess.
I'm not even sure
He's recovering. Great piece, Brooke. Thank you.